So it's 6:54 p.m. on a random Monday the 22nd of July. And look, I've been sort of thinking about how I wanted to start my first video for a while now, to be completely fair, but I didn't know if there was like a perfect thing. I'm like, oh, what do I talk about? Video. Oh my God. Now that the wind's gone. But yeah, it's like 6:54 on a Monday, 22nd of July. And I wasn't really sure how I was going to start this video, to be fair. I'm like, what do I do for a first video? This is really awkward to talk to a camera. But I figured the best way to do it would just be start off by giving you a little bit about my sort of background, my experience, and how I've got to where I have in online sales. And look, if you find any of it entertaining or interesting, cool. If you get value from it, even better, right? You might be able to relate to something that's happened in your life that's happened in mine as well. You go, oh yeah, that's cool. And I'll sort of hopefully give you some insights to how I overcame it. But yes, I'm literally just talking to camera in a random field. It's a cool little spot, so why not? But to give you a bit of insight, right, onto where things started, I'm going to go all the way back to the sort of start of my job career. So I always knew I wanted to do something sales related, right? I really wasn't sure how it was going to happen, but it got to the end of high school. It was 2020. I was fresh 18 and I'm like, right, what am I supposed to do with my life? Because no one's like, you know, they got the careers counselor and all that bullshit and she's telling you this and I'm saying that. And she's like, oh, you go to uni and do this. And I'm like, I don't really like, if I go to uni, I'm going to do something that interests me, right? I'm going to do history or politics or something like that. But everyone knows those are the kind of degrees that you get and you get no fucking job out of it because there's no money in it. So I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to make money. So I came to the realization I'm all right at speaking to people for the most part, reasonably what I thought at the time, good at sales. Turns out I know nothing about it. But everyone has that sort of upwards confidence to then get the realization of actually I'm shit crash. But, you know, have to get it right. So what I did was I decided, you know what, I'm going to go get a job in sales. And I loved cars, still love cars. They're a passion of my life. So I went out to Mercedes-Benz. And that story started a little bit. Ignore the Mercedes-Benz part. I actually just printed out like 12 resumes. And I jumped in my car and I went to every single car dealership in the entire area where I was, right? And I was handing them out. I was getting the cold seat where they're just like, wait here, someone will be there. Obviously no one comes. So you hand them out, yada, yada, yada. You're trying to get past the gatekeepers and sort of happens, sort of doesn't. I had a couple of good conversations. I went to Ford. They were pretty keen. I went to someone else. They were all right. A couple of cold feet. But I was sitting in a Holden dealership. Funnily enough, those guys are going broke. So who's laughing now? Not me. But, well, no, definitely me, not you. But yeah, so I was sitting in this Holden dealership and this lady approached me. She's like, are you looking for a job? I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, someone at Mercedes is looking for a job. I'm like, okay, cool. And she hands me a business card. Turns out she's a recruiter. I didn't know that at the time. What are you going to know? You're 18, right? You don't know this shit. But she's a recruiter. She puts me in touch with Mercedes. I go in for an interview. They give me an interview. About 3 hours later, they said, you got the job. I'm like, okay, amazing. I was actually going to decline the job though, because turns out it wasn't a car sales job, which was what I was looking for. It was a parts sales job. Now, I didn't really know what the difference was at the time. I'm like, whatever, same shit, isn't it? It's not. So parts sales was all on the phone, okay? You're sitting at a desk. It's very 9 to 5. You're on the phone. You're dealing with people, all the regular stuff that comes with that. Very small commission check at the end of the month if you hit the KPI bonus target, right? I'm like, okay, amazing. I did that for about 2.5 years. Had a really good time there, to be fair. It was actually quite enjoyable. But the problem was that this was during COVID times. So midway through my apprenticeship, which was 2021, the old that came along. And so I was like, well, I don't want that. Obviously, it's a lot more into that. Like, I really was against it completely. Like, 98% of people got it. I'm like, no, go fuck yourself. I'm not having none of that shit. So they tried firing me probably 6 times. I refused. They said no. I ended up getting an exemption because I had COVID at the time. So I got COVID. Then they gave me the exemption for COVID, which ended up being a bit of a saving grace. So I didn't have to have it. Then the exemption came to the end. I got a second one. Yada, 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 this, that, the other. Long story short, never ended up having it. And told him to fuck himself. So that was pretty cool. I think most people would have been able to cave, but I refused. I'm like, I will do anything except have it. So yeah, probably first situation where I was like, right, I'm just gonna have to figure this out. Because I was like heavy on my feet. I'm like, I will not have it. And I didn't. So that was cool. But what that made me realize was, you know what? I'm not in control of my own money here. Like, at the end of the day, they can fire me on the spot. And yeah, they like me, but I'm a number. And I went, that sucks, because I'm really good at my job, but I got no control over if I'm hired or not. So it made me sort of go down the, long-winded path, which is online money. And you realize that there's a whole bunch of people out there doing a whole bunch of stuff. And it's very difficult to actually find your way, right? You don't know what's a scam. You don't know what's this. It's all dodgy. This is real. This is not. And you're trying to navigate the path. And then you finally get here, which is Andrew Tate, Iman Gaji, and the regular gurus, right? So I think I bought The Real World, or whatever it was called at the time, Hustles University, did it, was like, this is kind of bullshit. Got copywriting course. I think I've made one sale, one client, $110. I'll probably go back and find the transaction, but turns out I really hated it. Like, not only was I shit at it, but I really hated it. So I'm like, this is dog shit. But I managed to sell the only prospect I ever reached out to. So I guess that says something, right? One call close, 100% close rate. But I then sort of delve deep and I'm like, right, well, I'm in the car space. Let me try and learn some Facebook ads. I'll sell it to all the car dealerships that I know because of the fact that I'm already in the space. So I'm like, great, let me do that. I go ahead, start working that. I'm doing some free work, just trying to get my name out there, get some reputation, just try and build myself as someone that they know they can come to if they want ads or any other Facebook, Instagram, Google type ad service. And that worked for a bit. I had a couple of people that I was helping out, just sort of doing their ads for them. I was doing a couple of videos, which was cool because I obviously had the camera here, which was working out all right. And then I basically ran into a friend of mine from my sort of, I won't say childhood, but teenage years, where he was doing mountain biking with me. We're both doing mountain biking. And so we reconnected. I realized he's doing the same thing. He's bought all these courses and shit. I'm like, cool, well, this guy's doing it as well. Let's just team up. So we teamed up and started an agency. And that agency originally was focused and targeted towards real estate agents. Turns out real estate agents in the US have had the fuck pitched out of them. Every motherfucker has gone to them and said, hey, look, I've got some shit ad service that I'm going to sell you. So they were all super turned off. But we did book some meetings. We did definitely book some meetings. But we never made a sale in that industry. And to be fair, I don't blame them because we had no track record, no proof, and really no ability to deliver the service we were trying to pitch them. So look, fair enough. You did your job by doing some due diligence. All right, I get you. But we then transitioned into the renovation space, right? So I'm talking home remodelings, bathrooms, that kind of thing. And actually, that worked out a lot better. We ended up closing probably 5 clients, with 3 of them paying or so. I think the other 2 were trying to be case studies, but it doesn't really matter. We made probably all up like 10 something grand, which, yeah, fair enough. Completely flat broke leads from Google Maps. So these are people that have no idea who we are, never reached out to them before. They've literally the most... I'm going to fucking throw some hands in a second. I think it's a snake behind me, but it's all right. We're in England. No snakes here. But yeah, so completely cold Google Maps leads. And we closed like 3 of them, or no, 5 of them or something like that. And we actually had some really good success with it. I was quite impressed. So that showed myself and Dylan, my business partner, I'm like, damn, we can do this. So we were booking leads and we were trying to scale it. And the reason that we couldn't scale was we couldn't really focus on the sales side of things and deliver the service. We were trying not to get fired by our prospect and get clients. And everyone knows if you're doing 100% sales, there's no time for doing prospects. And we were spending the whole day on prospects. So that wasn't working. So we decided we're going to hire a media buyer because a media buyer is going to be able to do the job and we can do the sales. Well, this is why you don't just hire random people off the internet. We hired a dude. He claimed to be an ex-Google employee. Turns out he was dog shit. He couldn't do any of the work we were trying to get him to do. All the clients fired us. And this was right around the time that I moved to the UK. So it left us flat fucking broke. No money. I moved over, had a holiday with all the savings that I'd saved up. But of course, me being Mr. Big Dog, I'm like, oh, I got my Wi-Fi money now. I'm sorted. Yeah, well, if you can't deliver the service, then they don't tend to keep you around. So they fired us. Fair enough. But it left me with no money. So I was funding myself and Dylan in the UK in a foreign country where he has no passport and I'm the only one that can work. Great. I've gone from working for Mercedes to having an agency to having no money. Don't know how that happens, but actually don't have a holiday right before you start a business. Probably not the best move. But you know what? You live and you learn, right? So to try and revive the business, I thought the best move here is I'm going to pull all of my money out of crypto, which actually wasn't all my money. I kept my Solana, so all you boys on Solana, you know, shit's going okay. But pulled all my money out of, I think, Ethereum and dropped it straight into Facebook ads. I'm thinking, it's all right, we'll pick up like 2 clients from Facebook ads, we'll just run it up. It's gonna be amazing. We made ads, posted them, no fucking leads. Shit. Well, that's really bad. So everything that we were trying to do went wrong, essentially. And so around October, we shut down the business. Fair enough. He went home. I'm working the pub, which was my part-time job just to try and keep afloat. Keep in mind, dead fucking, like no money. I'm I'm wage streaming every time I get paid to try and afford to eat, right? My auntie's being so nice. She's lending me the house for a bit for free. I'm like, this is amazing, but I got no money. So I'm working 60, 70 hours a week, trying to keep up, trying to get back in that sort of, I've got a little bit of savings. Didn't realize how expensive it was in the UK when you're on sort of base wage. And yeah, so it was a bit of a tough time, actually. It was pretty tough. I really didn't know what I was doing. Fully failed the online business. I'm like, this is over. But I ended up having a long conversation with myself, a nice sit down. And I sort of said, I'm like, right, well, what am I good at here? Sales. All those leads that we closed from Google Maps cold came and paid us money out of the blue. No prior knowledge, no testimonials, no case studies. So I contacted a friend of mine, which was through this random online network that we had. It was a Telegram channel. And I'm like, look, how do I get into online sales? You're in it, right? He's like, yeah, I'm in it. He handed me over to a link for Affinity Sales Training, which I had no idea what it was. I signed up, it was like $50. I'm like, whatever, can't hurt. Jumped in it, and that was really the needle mover for me, because I jumped in, I got my first offer working under Sean Duffy. Obviously, he's a G. Big ups for you if you're seeing this, like, you're a legend. Same as Richard, but they gave me the opportunity. So I was jumping on, it was like warm dialing for some shit offer. It was like £10 a close, so I earned fucking no money first month, second month, but it did give me the animalistic behavior of just dialing the fuck out of people, like just constantly hitting people. And I ended up being the top salesperson during that time, and I didn't quit. Everyone else that joined quit. So they gave me the sales manager role, and that was my first taste of like a real responsibility in an online business, because they gave me the management role, which meant I deal with the people. I'm onboarding, I'm offboarding, I'm doing the sales meetings, I'm running the operations. It was good. It was really cool. And I had a base, so I'm earning comms and base. It was doing okay, and the bonuses helped too. So that was definitely eye-opening. But the only reason that came to a close was because the offer owners, Sean and Richard, couldn't come to a new agreement with the actual business owner, and so that fell apart. So it left me without an offer. This was about April 2024, okay? So we've gone... Mercedes was 2021 when I started. Moved 2021, finished that job at May 2023, and I started the agency in March 2023, okay? So it's almost a full year since I'd left Mercedes at that point. Almost, okay? Now, I was without an offer, without a role. We'd started online sales in about November, December of 2023, moving into 2024. That offer wrapped up. So it was about 5 months of being on that offer, roughly. I'd probably earned like fucking £6,000 all up, maybe £5,000 all up. So not bad, but obviously not balling at all. Like, it's pretty low money, especially when you're trying to transition away from a part-time job. But it did give me the right taste. And so I used that experience and the fact that I was never beaten as a seller. Like, I was the top SDR and the manager the entire time on that offer. No one beat me. So I used that as sort of leverage on my next offer. I actually got a video testimonial as well, which helps a lot. And I just pitched everyone on the looms. I'm like, look, I'm going to be a G. I'm going to absolutely solve it. I'm going to come in and crush it as a closer. And I did. I got a new closing role, which was sort of thanks to my network, Affinity Sales Training, and Josh. They were able to help me get on the right offer, and we got our feet moving, right? I think in the first 40 days, I did like 60,000 cash collected, which was pretty good. I was on par with my good friend Gabriel in terms of number of closes. I just didn't have the same cash collection per close. So that was really the point where I was going to be like scaling it, right? It was a 8% commission on a like sort of 6 to 10K pack, depending on what you're sort of selling. And I was collecting a lot of upfront half payments or like, deposits and that type of thing. So it was bringing down my cash collection. So I was going to work on that. But this is where online sales comes and bites again. So the offer didn't pay us any of the commissions, no money. And it really, really fell apart. I was expecting about $5,000 in commission to hit about June 2nd, right as I was moving out to Alicante with Matthew Mendoza and Matthew Pete from Affinity. And it fell apart. I had the base wage of a little project that I was working on was £550 and about maybe 1,000-ish, maybe less in savings from that past little job during a management role. Because I hadn't been paid at this point since April, right? So just being good at saving money from the past year, which obviously was being at the pub, because I'd become so frugal and had my expenses down so low, I was able to save a lot of money. I really didn't have much expenses at all. And so I used that as the way of building myself back up. I just spent very little whilst we were out in Alicante, so it was cheap food, cheap everything, just really trying to keep it budget. And then that leads us to the end of June. I actually, Devante Dealfuel got me a new role, which was really cool. It was a B2B offer, fresh for me. And I took the risk on the B2B sales cycle because obviously everyone knows B2C, you can one call close, but you can't do that on B2B. Not really. Not if you're selling the stuff we're selling. So I took that risk and it paid off. I closed a 25K deal as my first deal, which was around 4K comms. And it really sort of set me back up. Like that came through at a crucial point. So it's a pretty incredible sort of turnaround, right? If you look at the timeline, that day that I closed the deal was the same day that I moved from Australia to the UK. So it came full cycle. I guess it obviously just shows that if you stick at it and you're persistent and you really trust yourself, that you'll be able to make it happen and you can pull it off, that you can really do anything you want. Because at the end of the day, the amount of times I wanted to quit and just say, fuck it. I mean, I already knew I could get that job at Mercedes back if I wanted to, that nice cushy 75K. I could get that back tomorrow. And in fact, when I actually moved to the UK, the first thing I did was reapply for Mercedes. But I then looked at myself, what the fuck are you doing? Why are we going back to what we just quit? I thought we wanted to leave there. So I declined the job opportunity, but at least I know if I ever want it, I can go back, which is cool. I'm qualified, I can just jump straight in. Know all the cars off the back of my head. I can jump in, no stress. But I guess it just shows if you don't give up and you're persistent, you really can do it. Like, you actually can. I mean, the perils and the shit that you went through, it was like 2 offers collapsing, one after another, not getting paid properly. But I guess you make it happen, you pull it off, right? If you really want it, you'll make it happen. And so the moral of the story is, like, if you are ever feeling down and out, like, you know, 2 things, like big things go wrong in a row, and you're like, this is just shit. Like, I just can't do this, whatever it is. Don't let the self-doubt be the thing that stops you from getting it. I mean, everyone sort of jokes, you know, when people gamble, they're joking. It's like, oh, don't quit right now because it's right before everyone has their next big win. But honestly, in the business and sales world, it's really true. The moment you give up is the moment that you never achieve what you want. Like, if you quit, you can't do it. But if you just outlast everyone, and the times that you just get punched in the gut by life, if you can just outlast that, eventually it's going to come around. And so that leaves us quite nicely to today, where I can stand in a paddock at 7:11 p.m. at night, getting some vitamin D, filming this video, doing what I want, doing what I'm living. You know, I wake up, do my sales calls in the afternoon, do what I sort of want during the rest of the day, and yeah, live life. And so I just want this to sort of stand as if you're doubting yourself, you can do it, but more so, the punches are what builds you up. Because if I didn't have the sort of discipline, right, to know that once the offer finishes, just go out there and apply to everything you have, everyone you know, and just hit everyone up, I probably wouldn't have the role that I have today. Because I ended up having 2 or 3 say yes, right? I just chose the best of the offers that came through. But at the end of the day, if I was to just sort of sit there in June in Alicante and go, that's fine, like, it'll all come around, I wouldn't be where I am right now. Like, just wouldn't. So knowing that when it goes wrong, you just jump back on the horse and you keep crushing it and you keep going out there and putting everything forward, eventually it'll all pay off. And so, yeah, if you're ever doubting yourself, just know God has a plan for everyone, and continue to go through what you're supposed to go through, because eventually it'll all come together in ways you probably didn't think it would. And yeah, you'll make it happen eventually. You just got to make sure that you don't quit prematurely, right? Just stay at it, be consistent, do what you're supposed to do every fucking day. So yeah, I don't really know what the next video is going to be like. I don't know if there's anything that you guys want to see from me, if you want me to go into more of the stories. Obviously, that's a very condensed version. It's pretty hard to put, 2.5, 3 years into 19 minutes 33. But at the end of the day, if you want to go ahead and ask me any questions, my Instagram will be below. You can message me on there. Drop me a comment if you got another video idea of something you want to see, something you want to hear from me. And yeah, appreciate you listening and watching. This should just stand as a nice standalone video, something to come back on, look at where we're